17 members and associates of the Hells Angels are facing criminal charges in a violent attack.
Federal agents allege the outlaws sold drugs, traded firearms, and engaged in insurance fraud and even tampered with government witnesses.
We have learned there is cell phone video as well as surveillance video of evidence in this attack.
The U.S. attorney characterized today's raids as historic, the largest federal bust on organized criminal gang activity.
Retaliation is common for crimes involving biker gangs. However, it could happen anywhere because of how interconnected gangs have become nationwide.
The 3-year investigation resulted in 42 federal indictments on a variety of charges, including racketeering, money laundering, drugs, gambling, insurance fraud, and extortion.
There's a bunch of bikers up here, and they're shooting guns and stuff. I need the police now.
But on foot going towards 2nd Street. Okay, we see.
Then you see a pack of Hells Angels going by, people are going to want to look. Next thing you know, cars. Because they're just staring at us and not paying attention to stop traffic.
If you wanted to break the law on an everyday norm, you should have joined a street gang. That's what they're known for. That's what they do. You're not allowed to steal cars on my block. We steal those cars.
I mean, it was so bad by us in Vegas. I was in the pool swimming, and the guys came back. Hey, Pee-wee, the cops are here. They want to talk to you. I said, well, go talk to them. Find out what they want. And they came back. They go, they want to talk to you.
Typically, if you leave the club, if you haven't been in for 10 years, you're automatically out back.
Got put out in 2006. Back in 2007, wound up going into Cannon. 2011. Came out of there. I had 4.5 years to walk off with zero support from that club.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we got a lot to talk about. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell your mother's, brother's, sister's friend about the best motorcycle content on YouTube. I appreciate all you guys taking the time to watch this show. How are you, Lindsay? Thank you for joining me today. Jimmy, how are you? Good afternoon. We got a good show for you guys today. We're going to talk about a couple other things, and then we're going to get into the situation at hand. The Maine situation with the Hells Angels. So, there's so much to talk about. I want to start off with this balloon accident out in Brazil. It's pretty wild. There's a video. 8 people died after a hot air balloon catches fire in midair, forcing passengers to jump to escape the blaze. I would absolutely not go on one of them things. Hot air balloons? Hell no. So there was a total of 21 people in the hot air balloon. It was like a big basket, and these people were like crammed in there. And it was having a hard time taking off. And a fire got caught on the basket, and people started to jump, and they were pretty high up there. So it says at least 8 people died after a hot air balloon caught on fire in midair, forcing passengers to jump out of the basket to avoid the flames. The fire occurred in the skies over Praia Grande, a municipality in the state of Santa Catarina, Brazil, popular destination for hot air ballooning. On the morning of Saturday, June 21st, at the time of the incident, there were 21 people on board the tourist flight, 8 people who have since been confirmed dead. It's insane. 13 of the passengers survived. It says onlookers captured the tragedy on video, and they took several angles of the footage. Smoke could be seen billowing from the hot air balloon while flames engulfed the basket. 2 passengers next appeared to jump or fall from the aircraft, one after another. The balloon then deflated rapidly, sending the aircraft ablaze, hurling to the ground. The footage also showed the basket ended up detaching from the balloon shortly before it touched down. Describing the scene for a local newspaper, one eyewitness said after the balloon caught fire, people jumped to escape the blaze. Some jumped per the pilot's orders. Man, if the pilot said jump, I'd be like, hell no, you jump. After the pilot realized the hot air balloon was on fire, he attempted to descend as quickly as possible and told passengers to jump when the aircraft got close to the ground. So you know that old myth, right? If elevator's dropping, you jump in the air and you won't get hurt. They say that. I don't believe that. But apparently a lot of these people survived, and it was a pretty high drop. I got a video to show you guys. It's pretty insane. So let's take a look at that real quick.
Terror in the skies above Brazil Saturday, as a hot air balloon carrying 21 people bursts into a fireball, crashing to the ground in a streak of smoke. The state's governor reports 8 people died. This video showing a smoking carriage nearing the ground. Police telling local media that some people got out before the flames lifted trapped passengers back into the air. Some later seen falling hundreds of feet. First responders searching the wreckage.
Hundreds of feet, you hear that? They were hundreds of feet in the air. Crazy.
Arena Governor Jorginho Melo saying they're in mourning and will find out what happened.
First, the investigators are going to gather evidence. They're going to go look at the basket. They're most importantly going to look at the nozzles in the where the flames actually created and controlled.
It's at least the second hot air balloon disaster in Brazil this week. On Sunday, another balloon crashed in the state of Sao Paulo, killing a 27-year-old woman, according to local media.
Are hot air balloons safe?
Hot air balloons are safe. Having a fire of this magnitude is quite rare, but there have been other unfortunate hot air balloon air tour accidents.
The tour company in today's crash says they have indefinitely suspended operations, noting they have no previous record of crashes. Ryan Chandler, NBC News.
We thank you for watching, and remember...
That's pretty crazy. Hell no. I ain't ever going on one of them. Absolutely not. I've been in a hot air balloon tied off. It's hot. Never mind putting that many people in a basket. This shit's flammable. And you got a big ass flame going. Hell no. Nope, not doing it. I mean, I flew on a bunch of planes. About 4 of them. I've been on a plane 4 times. No thank you. I won't do it ever again. So there's a situation that's happening in, I believe it's Australia, where a big melee happened. Patrons and staff assaulted as a Brandon bikie brawl, police allege. Police allege patrons and staff were assaulted when a brawl involving several bikies broke out in central Canberra on the weekend. Of the 2 arrests made so far, one man is alleged to have assaulted 3 different people, including punching one victim in his face and in his head 5 times. Early on Sunday morning, June 22nd, a group of interstate outlaw motorcycle gang members were involved in a brawl at Hopscotch Bar at Lonsdale Street in Braden. 2 patrons and 2 bar staff members were assaulted before the men fled the scene prior to police's arrival. It is alleged that officers chased one man, 40 years old, Thomas Peter DeBarkley, Leslow, from Tarnit, Victoria, on foot before arresting him. Meanwhile, members of the act bikey busting task force went to a hopscotch to review CCTV footage of allegedly identified 5 known interstate Finks outlaw members. Police then went to the airport on Sunday to arrest 28-year-old Clement Sulu Foromundo. I think that's how you say it. From Mickleham in Victoria over his alleged role in the brawl. Both applied for bail in the Act Magistrate Court on Monday, which was opposed by the prosecution. The court heard it was all alleged that Laszlo hit a man in the jaw before he and another person repeatedly hit a second man in the head. He then allegedly tried to hit the first man 5 times in the face before a bystander. The fight broke out, and he hit a third man in the face. He also alleged to have thrown various items at police when they were chasing him. The prosecutor said one of the alleged victims was concerned about the unprovoked and violent nature of the assault, as he was a staff member at the hopscotch bar. He was worried that Laszlo would return to the bar when he was working. Laszlo's lawyer, Tom Tifton, said while the prosecution may make something of his client's alleged ties to the OMGs, they were just that, alleged ties, he said. He said there was nothing to indicate the alleged offending had any relation to the OMG, nor had police identified themselves as when chasing his client on foot. So the cops didn't say, "Police, stop." The magistrate ultimately said Laszlo had no history of failing to appear in court and was a structure in place in Victoria to stop him from getting into more trouble. For instance, he was booked into anger management courses. The magistrate also said Laszlo had the support of his family and he worked full-time as a concrete form worker. So he granted bail. When it came to the other man, Sulu, the prosecutor said several people involved in the brawl were still unidentified and argued he was a risk that he would engage with them to hamper the investigation if released on bail. The magistrate said that was not enough to remand him in custody and granted him bail. Laszlo was charged with assault, causing bodily harm, common assault, affray, whatever that is, assault in joint commission, and resisting a territory official. It's probably resisting arrest. And the other man was charged with array and common assault. Neither entered pleas in the matter, and they adjourned until July 14th. As part of their bail conditions, they are not allowed to enter the ACT except for legal process. Police spokesperson said anyone who witnessed the brawl should contact them. That's crazy. So I have somebody who's a pretty big name, and I'm going to be interviewing him pretty soon. You guys will see that. And shout out to everyone who's been watching the Vice show that I was a part of. It's got 2 million views. What do you know? And it seems people are a little upset about it, but that's okay. If you're upset about that, just wait. Just wait till you see what's coming next. Let's get into this land deal So this man gave the town of Maine a gift, but he put a clause in there. So he gave the town in Maine a choice: either accept the land gift or hand it over to the Hells Angels. People are like, what? Why'd he do that? So this is the home in question. So when he died, he put in his will that if the town didn't accept this gift, then they were to hand it over to the closest Hells Angel chapter. So Buckfield, Maine. When the people of Buckfield, Maine come together in June, they will confront with a choice: accept a gift of money for scholarship, or let it be given to the Hells Angels motorcycle gang, it says here. They're not a gang, they're a club. Lifelong Buckfield resident James Jordan died March 16, 2024, at the age of 80. In death, he has offered the town nearly 14 acres of property on Deep Pont Street, along with $850,000 to maintain it, like to cut the grass and shit. In additional funds for scholarship, according to the news. Residents will vote June 10th, which just passed, like 2 weeks ago, whether to accept the acres for training for local rescuers. Another question would be asked: if the town accepted the remaining acreage for public recreation. Additionally, residents will be asked to accept the money for $100,000, or two for $50,000 scholarships, and one for $20,000 of fund the annual trip to Portland Highlight in Cape Elizabeth for Buckfield seniors. If voters turn down the real estate gift, the land, and $850,000, it will be handed over to the nearest Hells Angel chapter. What might puzzle, it's Jordan's apparent lack of connections to the notorious motorcycle gang, it says here. He graduated from Buckfield High School, and he went to work as a traveling salesman, a driver of antique cars between Maine and Texas, a manager at an international paper. A friend told the newspaper the whole thing was probably a joke, a way to make sure Buckfield accepted Jordan's gift. It wasn't immediately clear what Hells Angel chapter was closest to Buckfield. Carlton Spencer, who died in 2006, formed the club's first chapter in Canaan. Before forming the chapter, Spencer was a member of the Saracens Motorcycle Club in Turner. In 2001, the Justice Department described the club as an outlaw motorcycle gang, which allegedly aligned with the Hells Angels. So they're like a puppet club for them. It has been implicated in drug trafficking and other crimes. There was a shooting near the clubhouse in 2010. So that's an old article about this situation. Staxx went Hollywood. No, not quite. But I got some pretty big things in the works right now. That Vice shit ain't nothing. Wait till you see what's next. It's going to be good. Maine's forced with the dilemma after residents' very bizarre requests in his will. A Maine town voted to accept the land gift left by former resident. Of course they're going to accept the gift. You think they're going to let it go to the Hells Angels? Probably not. After he specified it would be handed over to the Hells Angel chapter if it was turned down. James Jordan, 80, formerly of Buckfield, was known as Jimmy, passed away last March and left nearly 14 acres along with $850,000. But there was a catch. If this town decided to turn down the generous gift of land and money, it would go to a chapter of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. On Tuesday, it was agreed on a vote, 274 to 37, to accept the gift, as voters face other questions over what should be done with the land and cash. Despite the link to the biker club in his will, there's no apparent connection between Jordan and the gang, it says here. Friends of his believe the whole thing was just a joke. Close friend Roland Franchette said he believes Jordan added it to ensure that the gifts were accepted by the town. Of course they would be accepted. They don't want to give the Hells Angel chapter any money, so of course they're going to accept it. Roy, what's going on? How are you? Thank you for joining me today. Scott, what's good? Make sure you guys hit the like button. There's a lot of great content on the way. I've been editing a lot. Got some new interviews coming up. Some fresh faces. I got some old faces and some fresh faces. The whole situation was a bad joke, his friend said, who wished to remain anonymous. It says he didn't even own a motorcycle. A local man all his life. He attended Buckfield High School before going to work as a traveling salesman and manager at the International paper. He had inherited the property in July of 1983, according to land deeds, after it was passed down by his parents. It's not immediately clear what Hells Angel chapter it would have been handed the land and the money over to. The main chapter of the Hells Angels was 65 miles from Buckfield. After agreeing to accept the money, voters in the town, approximately 2,000 residents, that's a small town, were asked whether to turn a 2-acre parcel of the land into a training space for the town's rescue unit. So what, they're going to just burn the house down and start kicking the door in and shit? Probably. Which they agreed upon. So they are going to do that, I guess. Another question asked is whether the remaining space should be turned into a recreational area, which also passed too. The $850,000 left over would be divvied up to form a scholarship fund for students who are residents of Buckfield and are in their 3rd year of college or university. Yeah, I showed you guys the house, right? I mean, it looks like a pretty... Here's the top view of the house. I know it's kind of blurry, but here's the house. I mean, 14 acres is pretty big. So, I mean, if the Hells Angels were to have gotten this, it would have been a pretty big thing for them. And almost $1 million. I mean, $850,000, a lot of money. Voters agreed to leave $20,000 aside from the fund for an annual trip for the elderly. Go to Portland's Headlight, a historic landmark in Cape Elizabeth, Maine. Jordan's obituary said Jimmy had a knack for finding a deal. He enjoyed watching Jeopardy with his friends and family. So they knew not to call between 7:30 and 8 p.m. He took time to take trips to the Maine coast, check lawn sales, eat preferable meals as a lobster and Chinese food. His true passions in life were watching horse racing while visiting his family and friends. The Hells Angels, which originally were founded in California in 1948, have around 3,500 members, it says here, and have 475 chapters across 62 countries. The group is considered a criminal enterprise with the Department of Justice, claiming they are involved in violent crime, weapons trafficking, and drug trafficking. Their website states that when we do right, nobody remembers. When we do wrong, nobody forgets. And that's so true. It is true. 100% true. When one of them does something wrong, it's all over the news. People are talking about it. When they do something good, they don't talk about it. But I definitely do not think they are a gang. They're a motorcycle club. There's bad apples everywhere. And that's just what it is. So there's a couple more cases I want to tell you guys about. And I got some pictures of some new bikes that have just came out. They're pretty wild looking. And I want to know which one of the bikes is your favorite. So this guy. This is the dipshit of the day. So this guy beat an elderly person with a baseball bat. South Windsor, Connecticut. A burning man arrested on Sunday. And you guys are going to be like, what? When you hear this. He was arrested for allegedly attacking an elderly victim with a baseball bat. Police say 48-year-old Matthew Boucher struck the elderly person in the head and chest and used the bat to choke him. Boucher was located and taken into custody. He was released on a $15,000 non-surety bond, meaning he didn't have to pay any money. He'll be in Manchester Superior Court Wednesday, July 9th. Like, right there proves that these Democrats don't know what they're doing. I mean, if you can do that type of shit and beat an elderly person with a baseball bat and they just release you, then that's a fucking problem. That's a major problem. Connecticut gotta figure that out. That's terrible. So in other news, 25 people were rescued after their vessel runs aground along the Connecticut River. This is in Deep River, Connecticut. Emergency crews rescued about 25 people from a vessel that run aground. About 10 p.m., first responders were deployed for the vessel that run aground. Several people aboard it on the Connecticut River. Near Deep River, and it was Deep River Fire Department. Several Marine units from Essex, Deep River, and Chester assisted on the scene. 25 people were rescued, and they were evaluated for their injuries. Officials said no one was seriously injured, and no further details were released. That's pretty crazy. The middle of the night, I mean, what are they doing riding up the river in the middle of the night? I mean, that's a recipe for disaster, don't you think? So I know you guys remember when I did this story. It wasn't an exclusive story, but it was like a side story where I told you guys about the guy who was kidnapped and burned by his motorcycle club in Australia. They burned his tattoo off and they beat him for a couple days, I think. So I have a video. It's up on Patreon where you can see them dropping him off at the hospital. Go check that out. It's exclusive video. And there's exclusive website in Volusia County, Daytona. The Outlaws is no one bad thing is mentioned about the Outlaws. loads of bad stuff on corrupt cops and politicians. 100%. Volusia County. I mean, only some people see these guys as bad people. But I don't believe they are. I don't believe they are bad people. I think there's bad apples in every bunch. I mean, so if someone's, say someone's in church, right? And they commit a crime. They go do something. They don't call the church criminal enterprise because they're part of a church. And these guys aren't all working together. I mean, there's bad apples everywhere. People do things, you know. The shit ain't going to stop. I mean, summer just started, so, and the things that have already transpired, and there's a lot of rivalries out there, so things are only going to get crazier. But anyway, let's take a look at some of these bikes, and I want to know what you guys think of them. This bike looks crazy. Like, look at that shit on the top. You're supposed to, like, lay on that? Have that all up in your chest? There's some pretty cool looking ones, though. That one's pretty crazy looking. I want to know which one of these bikes is your favorite. The knobby tires, that's a Triumph. Look at this shit. Like, what is the world coming to? This bike looks crazy. I like the old style bikes. There's a ton of content on the way. I appreciate all you guys. We got exclusive Motorcycle Club members on the way. Got crazy interviews. We got inside information for you guys. And you guys are going to like it. And I'm going to keep bringing you content. And I appreciate all you guys. We're growing pretty fast, too. We're almost at 16,000. We're going to keep going. Go check out the Vice interview. It's got 2 million views featuring Bill Staxx. And I appreciate all you guys taking the time. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, remember, start your own fucking podcast. I appreciate all you guys. And remember, don't be a bitch.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.